Om Sarvadharmasthapakas Sarvadharmaswarupakah Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. We are studying Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, second part, as the spiritual aspirant or struggler or sadhak, and we are reading the chapter whose name is Sadhana and Divine Inebriation. As a special case, because Thakur is God himself, that in the very beginning of sadhana, it has gone so speedily that he has reached the end. But the general rule or rule for everybody is that the consciousness level rises step by step. And so, after that, he felt the need for a constant vision. And then his life as a whole, his consciousness and his life and his mind and his actions started changing. Gradually, it's difficult to say because very rapidly. And so, these very things have to come to our life to a much lesser intensity and much later speed. But this is the model before us. And in that we have seen that unless something physically is done, Thakur would never be satisfied that mentally it has been done, both leaving something and taking something. So now in this chapter, we have started seeing how much change it was. And it was like a madman or somebody possessed by a ghost. And so when the devotees complained to the officers could not speak to him because the distance level was too much. But they thought it their duty to report it to the owners. And when they reported, Mathur knows that Thakur's case is very special. And he knows that the temple officers don't understand Thakur at all. So he sent a word that I will come and see. Till then, don't know anything. And he came without telling anybody, neither Thakur nor the officers, and observed Thakur. And he saw there that so much love and so much innocent love, so much childlike love. And so he did not tell it there, went back and ordered that nobody should hinder the Bhattacharya from doing what he likes. And then we are described the Gatrada, the burning of the body. And 3 times it has been described. Papa Purusha Dagda, Madhur no. Papa Purusha Dagda, this time, this intensity of yearning, and then Madhur And that was when the Papa Purusha was burnt, it went away. Here Brahman is Upayas cured. And the last one, Mahapurusha was his father. He prescribed the Ishta Kavacha. And when the Ishta Kavacha was tied, it subsided. And then we lastly read about a peculiar method of teaching the Rani. But the Rani did not take offense to that. Now we are coming to para 12. So he is telling us now, with the development of devotion, the master's external worship dropped off. His predicament at this time. Now, This is all according to scriptures. When the mind rises above the idea that I am the doer, then it's not possible for him to do work. And so this methodical worship, which is called Vaidhi Bhakti, is a part of karma, a ritual. And so it became impossible for him now. Firstly, sometimes he do, sometimes he not. But now it becomes totally impossible for him. A short while after this, the master's devotion and exaltation due to bliss increased so much by virtue of enjoying the Divine Mother's constant company that the performance of the daily and special occasional services of the goddess was by no means possible for him. The master used to give an example of how, with advancement in the spiritual state, the actions enjoined by the scriptures drop off by themselves. So karma is not given up, karma drops off. He said, beautiful example, unparalleled example, a difference from Shankar Bhashya. Though I found a place in Shankar Bhashya where he tells this very thing, but Thakur's example is really beyond. It's wonderful. The mother-in-law allows her daughter-in-law. These are all old traditions in India. Now there is no mother-in-law, daughter-in-law together. The mother-in-law allows her daughter-in-law to eat all kinds of food and do all manner of work till she conceives. Conception, God, conception, child. As soon as she is with child, a little discrimination about food and work begins. Later, as she is in an advanced stage, her work gets extremely limited. When gradually she approaches parturition, she is not given any work at all, lest harm should befall the embryo. So the conceptions, and when at last the baby is born, her days are spent only in caressing it. In Shankar Bhashya, I found yato yato, yatra yatra, how much, so much, so much. This also expression is there in one place. But otherwise, if you do not read that critically, unfortunately, that particular passage, the general impression of the Shankarites is that up to this point, karmanishta, then jnanishta. It never happens jumpingly. So in Thakur's example, that is the example. Now when the delivery comes near, no work. And when the child is born, that means when God is realized, then he lives with God only. So this is the beautiful example we will find in our life. The secret is that for realizing God, we are going inside and inside and inside. And for doing work, we are coming outside. And that is why this thing happens. The more we go inside, the outside drops. Similarly, the master's renunciation of external worship. Okay, renunciation, giving up of external worship and of the services of the Divine Mother took place naturally. The master was now no more conscious of the proper time for worship. Time sense itself changes and other services. Always beside himself in spiritual moods, he served the Universal Mother whensoever and howsoever he liked. For instance, he sometimes offered food before performing the worship, or absorbed in meditation, he forgot completely the idea of his separate existence from her and decorated his own person with the flowers, sandal paste, etc., brought for the worship of the goddess. We were told by the master himself that on many occasions his actions assumed this form by virtue of his constant vision of the Divine Mother inside and outside. And we were further told that if that mood of his losing himself in her decreased a little, and if he was prevented from seeing the mother even for a short time, such an overwhelming restlessness came on him that he threw himself violently on the ground, rubbing his face against it and filling the quarters with vehement wailings. In the Narad Bhakti Sutra, it is mentioned the test of devotion is tadarpita akhila charata tad vismarane parama vyakulata iti. And that vismaran is not forgetting. That is, intensity grows a little less. That is the quality of the mind. He struggled for life and his breath was about to stop. That is all intensity beyond human conception. He could take no notice of the fact that his whole body was getting cut and bruised and covered with blood because he is rolling on the ground, crying, weeping, rubbing his mouth against the dust. He was equally unaware whether he stumbled on fire or into water. Immediately afterwards, when he got the vision of the mother, that mental alert of his vanished and his face beamed wonderfully with joy and became a different person, so to say. So that is going on. That is the Vyakulata. After the vision, what Hridaya said about the master's giving up worship, Mathur's doubt about the master's condition at that time. Because when it became too much, it went beyond Mathur's understanding also. Mathur got the temple worship conducted somehow through the master till the latter reached the state described above. But finding that it was impossible to manage the worship that way now, he resolved to make some other arrangement. Hridaya said there was a special reason for that resolve of Mathur's. One day the master suddenly got up from the worshipper's seat in a state of ecstasy and saw Mathur Babu and me in the temple. He then took hold of me by the hand, made me sit on that seat and said to Mathur, Hridaya will perform the worship from today. Mother says she will accept his worship in the same manner as mine. So it might have been true because mother speaks through him. And the devout Mathur accepted those words of the master as the command of the mother. Now Saradananda Swamiji comments we cannot say how far Hridaya's words are true. Hridaya has told that and it might have happened, but we are not sure because master has not told us that. But Mathur knew well that it was impossible for the master to perform worship and other services daily in that condition of his. And he knew that as far as outside is concerned, Hridaya has become quite expert now. The treatment of the master by Ganga Prasad say, famous Ayurvedic doctor of that area. We have already said that the Mathur's mind was attracted toward the master from the day when he first saw him. Since then, he tried to remove all inconveniences and to keep him at Dakshineshwar. Gradually afterwards, the more he became acquainted with the master's extraordinary noble qualities, the more was charmed by them, and he used to serve the master according to his needs, viewed him with an affectionate eye, and always protected him against unreasonable oppression of others. So much love, respect, love, protection, all that came in Mathur by the divine ordinance. Here is an instance. Mathur made arrangements for him to have a daily drink of the syrup of candy, as he knew that the humor of wind was strong in his body. Conscious that the master might possibly be interfered with one thing, because we have seen it elsewhere, the humor of wind, Vata Pradhan, and that goes upwards. And so the choking in the body comes. So when some sweet, especially the sugar candy syrup, is taken, that goes down. So he started that doing. Conscious that the master possibly be interfered with when he was employed in the worship born of Ragatmika devotion, Mathur protected him against all attacks of the officers and others. We have elsewhere mentioned a few other examples of this nature. Now, reference, some problem has arisen. So I am looking the Bengali. Now, here that is Mr. Dev. In the English translation, the editors have stumbled on something. Sometimes they say, we shall say afterwards. And sometimes they say, we already said about Guruva Purvasa, which we have read, but in the volume it comes later. So it is like that here. We have elsewhere mentioned a few other examples of this nature. So many examples have come in that Guru Bhav in Mathurana. But it seems to us probable that he had doubts in his mind about the master's condition from the day he struck Rani Rasmani by way of teaching her. Rani did not react, but those who directly see, they do not react, Mathur or Rani. But when Rani was struck and Mathur came to know of it, doubt came. He concluded that the master was suffering from insanity. Not that he does not have devotion, but this is additional. Unable to realize the advanced state of the masters, the worldly minded Mathur. So Mathur is worldly minded as soon or also looks after Thakur. So it's a combination. It seems inferred that there was in him a combination of spirituality and insanity. So he did not lose the respect or Shraddha. For he arranged at that time for the master's treatment under Ganga Prasad Sen, the well-known Ayurvedic physician of Calcutta. So that is Mathur. He wants to serve Thakur in every way. If there is a disease, let him be cured of it. If it is devotion, I shall protect him. Thinking that the master had a physical disease, Mathur not only made all arrangements for his treatment, but also tried to comfort him by giving reasons and arguments. Because if it is insanity, if the patient understands that it is insanity, he will try to control it. So with that idea, Mathur tried to reason and argue with him, so that he might control his mind and proceed with his spiritual practices. That spiritual practices themselves are leading to this he could not catch. That's an emotion, so let him control. We have described for the reader elsewhere. So now that described is coming. How all these reasons and arguments of Mathur proved when, and how he was proved wrong by the master when he saw that two China roses, one red and the other white, blossomed together in the same twig of a red China rose plant. We have seen all this. Knowing that it is mentioned here because sadhana is being discussed. At that time, Mathur was more under discussion. Knowing that it was impossible for the master and Thakur's Guru. Knowing that it was impossible for the master to perform the fixed daily service of the goddess in the temple, Mathur made another arrangement for it. This is a new development now. He appointed Ram Tarak Chattopadhyay, the master's cousin. We have seen that in the master's lineage chart, who had come to the temple in search of a job to worship the goddess until the master came round. That is what Mathur thought. He did not understand that karma has been dropped. But now insanity is there, so till he becomes all right. These events came to pass in the year 1858. This is mentioning because Haladhari has some special relation with Thakur. Haladhari came to Dakshineshwar. The master used to call Ram Tarak Haladhari. His name was Ram Tarak. But for what reason is not mentioned, Thakur used to call him Haladhari. Haladhari is the name of Balaram, Krishna's elder brother, because his weapon was the plough. Plough is Hala. The plough itself is Balaram's weapon. So one who holds the plough is Haladhari. So Haladhari is the name of Balaram, Bhagavan Shri Krishna's elder brother. So somehow Thakur used to call him Haladhari. The master told us many things about him on many occasions. Haladhari was a good scholar and sadhaka who was devoted to rites and practices according to the scripture. Sadhaka or the karma level. He had proficiency in the Bhagavata, the Adhyatma Ramayana and other books and read them daily. So intellectual pursuit of spirituality and ritualism. These are not leading him onward. Remember, this is not leading him onward. Although he had greater love for Vishnu than for the Devi, he had no aversion to the latter because born in a Vaishnava family. Therefore, though a devotee of Vishnu, he did not feel any hesitation in taking charge of the worship of the Divine Mother at the request of Mathur because he wants a job. But before Haldari took that charge, Mathur made an arrangement at his request for supplying him with raw foodstuff so that he might cook for himself, as Thakur had done in the beginning. Thakur outgrew that. Haldari never outgrows that. We are told that Mathur at first objected to it and asked, why do you not Ramakrishna, your cousin, and Hriday, your nephew, take prasad in the temple? Master because he had become broad, Hriday because he was over practical, not spiritually inclined. The intelligent Haladhari replied, my cousin is in an exalted spiritual state. That he understood. Blemishes will not accrue to him in any way. I am not in that state. It will be therefore be reprehensible for me to break my principle regarding food. Mathur was pleased to hear his words. He has kept quiet about Hridaram. Haladhari took raw provisions and daily cooked them for himself under the Panchavati. Although Haladhari had no aversion to Shakti, he was not disposed to offer animal sacrifice to the goddess. As it was the rule in the temple to offer animal sacrifice to the Divine Mother at the time of festivals, he could not perform the worship at those times with joy and zeal. He performed the worship for about a month. So festivals within a month. Purva Kale. Anyway, it is offered there. He performed the worship for about a month. When performing his Sandhya one day, he, it is said, saw goddess assume a terrible form and said to him, "Get up and go away from here. You shall not perform the worship. Your son shall die on account of the offense of your irreverent worship." It is said that he received the news of his son's death a few days after this event. He said everything about this from the beginning to the end to the master, and from then ceased to worship the goddess. Therefore, since then, Hriday began to perform the worship of Kali, and Haldari conducted the worship of Radha Govinda. We heard of this event from Hriday's brother Raja Ram. So there he has expressed a doubt whether what Hriday said was true or not. Because Mathur made the arrangement of Ramtara. And because Ramtara could not do, so it was shifted. Now Hriday's brother Rajaram must have heard this from the people in the family. Okay. So we have come to the end of this chapter and we enter the most important chapter of the whole Sadhak Bhav. The chapter 8 and the heading, let me check up with the Bengali. Pratham Chari Vasarer Shesh Katha. Now Shesh has been translated as the last part of the story of the first 4 years of sadhana. Shesh has two meanings. Shesh means end or last part. But Shesh in Bengali means remaining. Remaining. So in the first 4 years of sadhana, so many other things have happened. And those need to be told. Please understand this. This is not last part of the story. No. Remaining things in the story of the first 4 years of sadhana. Remaining things. The ascertainment of the time of sadhana. Sadhana is objectivity. Then only we can understand properly. When we study the period of the master's sadhana, we must first of all remember what he himself told us about it. It will not then be difficult to ascertain its date. The reader has already been told that we have heard from him that he was engaged in the disciplines of various faiths and doctrines for 12 long years continually. It is ascertained from the deed of gift executed by Rani Rasmani regarding the temple endowment that the Kali temple at Dakshineshwar was consecrated on Thursday, May 31st, 1855. At the end of the same year, the master assumed the office of the priest. It is therefore perfectly certain that the period of his sadhana extends practically from 1856, because 55 end, 1856 to 1867. Now if you subtract, it becomes 11 years. From the beginning of 1856 to the end of 1867, then it becomes 12 years. But although this period is clearly ascertained as the period of his sadhana, we shall see that he went on a pilgrimage to some holy places at the end of the period and engaged himself in sadhana there and again at Dakshineshwar after his return. So 12 years mainly, though some afterwards also. Three main divisions of this period. We proceed to divide this period of 12 years into three divisions, each of which we are to study separately. First, the 4 years from 1856 to 1859. The main events of which period we have already studied. many what? Something remaining. Secondly, the same number of years from 1860 to 63, when under the instruction of the Brahmani, so that is the difference. First, he has done everything without any guidance. And then, when under the instruction of the Brahmani, he went through, according to the scriptural injunctions, all the disciplines prescribed in the 64 main tantras, 64 main books of the tantra. And thirdly, an equal period from 1864 to 1867, during which he was initiated in the mantra of Rama by the monk of the Rama denomination named Jatadhari, and got the image of Ramlala. And again, he was engaged in sadhana in a woman's apparel during this period for 6 months in order to realize the spiritual attitude of a female friend of God, Dasi Bhav, spoken of in the Vaishnava books. He also received at this time the Vedic Mahavakya from Totapuri. Mahavakya is that sentence which gives identity between man and Brahman. That is called Mahavakya. Tattvamasi, like that. And ascended the Nirvikalpa plane of consciousness, and at last he was taught the religion of Islam by Govinda. That will be described at the due time. During the period of these 12 years, so third part, Rama as a child, Dasi Bhav, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Islam. During the period of these 12 years, he practiced the discipline of the Sakhya Bhava according to the Vaishnava scriptures and came in contact with the secondary Vaishnava denominations of Karta Bhaja, Navarasika, etc. We have discussed this a little in chapter on Vaishnava Charan. That he was closely acquainted with these denominations is very clear from the fact, name has come, that Vaishnavacharan Goswami and other sadhakas following this phase came to the master for spiritual help. If we divide the period of his sadhana into these three divisions mentioned above and consider the matter deeply, we shall find that there is a clear difference of kind between the sadhanas of the first division and those of the other two. Those of the other two both are according to scriptures, and the first one is without that, without any guidance. A recapitulation of the master's mental states, visions, etc. during the first 4 years of his sadhana. A recapitulation he does here. Okay. We see that the only external help he got at the beginning of his sadhana was the initiation he had from Sri Kenaram Bhattacharya. He straight away proceeded to practice that discipline. The extreme eagerness of his heart for the realization of God was the main support during this period. I thought immediately something strikes the mind, immediately. Now when we hear main support, immediately we think that there will be some other supports. If it is main, then there will be some secondary. But in Bengal, it is ekmatra support, the only support. And that is what is important. If eagerness is 100%, the result has to come. And this Thakur's first 4 years have shown us. So, the extreme eagerness of his heart for the realization of God was his only support during that period. This eagerness became gradually stronger and stronger, shattered his body and mind in a short time, because the body is constructed with some mental attitude. And when it is so much change, the body is shattered. Mind also, because the change is total. And recast them into an unexpected new mode. So he has not died, he has not become mad, but the whole body and mind is restructured. Besides, it produced in him a great love for a chosen ideal and made him pass beyond the firm steel frame of the rules and regulations of ritualistic devotion. Those rules are very strict and he has outgrown that. Love has made him outgrow. Led him forward on the path of ragatmika devotion and thus conferred on him the wealth of the immediate knowledge of the Universal Mother and endowed him with yogic powers. So that went to the height of immediate knowledge of the Universal Mother, which included miracle samadhi, and side by side the yogic powers came to him. Why had the master to practice sadhana over again, though he had the immediate knowledge of the Divine Mother at that time? Peace is realized when one sees the identity of one's own immediate experience with the teaching of the Guru and of the Shastra. So another hint is given here. You have discussed once this. In one of the Vedanta books, Jivan Mukti Ved, there is a term, Chitta Vishranti Rahitya. That means when something new, strange, comes to our mind, automatically a doubt arises whether I am right or wrong. And when a group of that we see, then we are convinced that it is all right. That is the very nature of human mind. And when he does it according to scriptures, then he sees that other sadhakas have done like that. So, that is one of the reasons of his doing further sadhana. That is not the only reason, but this is one of the reasons. In reply to those who feel that why at all he did sadhana, the reader may perhaps say, what then was left over the master had left over? The master had the aim of his life fulfilled at that very time. Why did he then practice sadhana afterwards? We should like to say in reply that although this is true in a way, sadhana was necessary afterwards. The master used to say, trees and creepers, that is one main reason. Trees and creepers flower first and bear fruit next, according to the usual law of nature, but there are a few among them whose fruits come out first and flowers next. That is due to his incarnation. The development of the master's mind in the field of sadhana took place exactly like that of the latter class of trees and creepers. Therefore, that objection of the reader is true in a way. Therefore, that objection is true in a way. Fruit has come first, that's all. Hey Bhave Satya Boliye Chi, that we do not understand that. That is the answer. The development of the master's mind in the field of sadhana took place exactly like that of the latter class of trees and creepers. Therefore, that objection of the reader is true in a way. But although the master had such visions, etc., at the beginning of his sadhana, he could not become perfectly sure whether they were real and whether he had reached the ultimate goal. till he could compare them with the experience of the sadhakas recorded in the scriptures and realize once again those experiences of his by following the practices sanctioned by the scriptures. Parampara. Therefore, sadhana was afterwards necessary for him. It became necessary for him to realize again by following the path and procedure described in the scriptures what he had experienced before by the incomprehensible grace of the Divine Mother. With the help of only the eagerness of his heart. We see that this is not the last part, it is telling other this and that, so comparative. With the help of only the eagerness of his heart, the scriptures say that the aspirant cannot be absolutely convinced till by comparing the divine visions and the extraordinary experiences of his own spiritual life with the truth taught by his Guru and with the experiences of the sadhakas of past ages recorded in the scriptures. He finds them to be perfectly identical. Then the doubts go. Having his doubts completely dispelled, now this portion of doubt has come. His doubt about the truth is there. But doubt whether this is highest remains till he compares. Having his doubts completely dispelled, the aspirant becomes endowed with infinite peace. As soon as he compares the three, namely the truth taught by his Guru, the experiences of the ancient race of sadhakas recorded in the scriptures, and those realized by himself, and finds them identical. So all the scriptures are records of sadhaka's realizations. Example is given. It happened to Shuka, the son of Vyasa. As an example of what has been said above, we may point to an event in the life of Shukadeva, the foremost of Paramahamsas. Paramahamsas means those who can separate water from milk. They separate God from the world and take God and reject the world. The son of Vyasa. Shukadeva, untouched by Maya, he was born perfect. Used to have various divine visions and extraordinary experiences in his life from his birth. For the purpose of ascertaining whether they were real and whether he had reached the goal, he studied the Vedas, the 6 branches of study auxiliary to them, that is the Vedangas. You need not know about them. And other Shastras with his father Vyasa, knower of all the scriptures. That is Vyasa. When his studies came to an end, he said to his father, I have been experiencing from my birth all the spiritual states recorded in the scriptures, but I cannot be perfectly sure that these states and experiences are the ultimate truth. So please tell me now what you yourself have experienced regarding those things. Very strange, very strange. Okay. Footnote is by translator. I am doubtful about the language a little. Too much variation is there. Oh, I doubted there, but what to do? Unnecessary the English. This was not in the original translation. This is later editor's wisdom. Too much wisdom. महामती व्यासेर निकट वेदादि शास्त्र अध्ययन समाप्त करूया. वेदादि शास्त्र. Now the Shastra may be Sankhya and other thing, maybe Puranic scriptures. So why Vedangas are brought here? Vedangas are only related to the Karma Kanda of the Vedas. He studied Vedas and other scriptures. That's all. It is there and other Shastras with his father. He studied the Vedas and other Shastras with the 6 branches of study. They should be dropped. This creates a confusion. These are all related to Karma Kanda and a footnote has been given there. That will confuse the mind of the reader. Okay. Vyasa of supreme knowledge reflected within himself. I have always been teaching Shuka the goal of spirituality and the ultimate truth, telling him the experiences of my own life resulting from spiritual practices, but doubts have not been removed from his mind. He thinks that although he has been desirous of knowing the truth, I, being overpowered by fatherly affection, have not given him the whole truth and so have not removed his mental anxiety. So that was the point. Okay. Therefore, it is good for him to hear these things from some other wise man. Thinking so, Vyasa said, I am unable to remove your doubt. It is not unknown to you that Janaka, the king of Mithila, is truly a man of knowledge. He was famous. Go to him and have all your problems solved. So directed by his father, Shuka, it is written in the Mahabharata, went immediately to Mithila. Taught by Janaka, a sage among kings, who told him of the experiences that knowers of Brahman have, Shuka found a complete identity between the instruction of the Guru, the words of the scriptures, and the experiences of his own life. Okay. Now, that was one of the reasons, as I said, one of the reasons. Another reason why the master practiced sadhana later, not for himself but for others. He has come to establish the harmony of religions. And in one life, he has to show that all paths lead to the same goal. And that is the reason why that inclination came to him. It is not possible for the others to get this desire to practice again. Besides the above mentioned reason, there was another profound reason why the master practiced sadhana later. We shall merely mention it here. The aim of the master's sadhana was not the attainment of peace only in his own life. We have seen that three friends and that mart of joy. The Divine Mother of us all made him assume a body for good of the world. He had therefore made him God himself. The Shakti made him get the body. He had therefore to be acquainted with the sadhanas of all religions and their ultimate goal, so that he might be in a position to become a true spiritual teacher, not teaching only one part. Therefore, an extraordinary effort is seen on the master's part to ascertain by actual practice the truth or falsity of all the religious doctrines. Do it and find out if it is true or not. All. That is not all. By producing in a natural way in the life of this unlettered person, through his practices, the spiritual states recorded in the scriptures, the Divine Mother proved to the modern age the truth of the Vedas, the Bible, the Puranas, the Quran, and all the religious scriptures. There is a thought called conditioned thinking. And the modern people say, you are experiencing this because you have read the Vedas. You are experiencing this because you have read the Bible. How to prove that it is not because of that? Because Thakur got all those things without any scriptures. And the same thing he got by the scriptures. So that is how a beautiful harmony took place. The validity of scriptures. The validity of scriptures, which are absolutely essential in our life. In Thakur's life, that is not needed. But another example I will tell you here. Bhagwan Buddha revolted against the Vedas and rejected the Vedas. And he also had the same experiences that of the Vedas. But there we may say a negative condition of the mind we will say. Rejecting is negative conditioning. Thakur did not reject, he did not go that way. He is not rejecting. And so he did it again. Buddha never did that. And so a complete harmony is resultant. And in a natural way, this desire came to him. That was why there was no cessation of his sadhana even after he had personally attained peace. The more we proceed to study this extraordinary life, the more clearly shall we understand that with a view to accomplish the specific end mentioned above, the Universal Mother brought to the Master again same thing, because it is divine providence. So when he wants to do some sadhana, some guru comes there. At the proper time, perfected men and scholars of every denomination, it is scholars. Pandit Sakalope. And making him hear from them all about religious teachings and practices, gave him the power of mastering them through his wonderful memory, which retained everything heard only once. Hmm? Again, some mix-up has come. Where is the Shruti comes here and retaining that in memory? Hmm. How? I am reading the Bengali once. Nothing. We must drop certain. Where unnecessarily something has come unnecessarily. Retaining in the mind and all that. The Universal Mother brought to the Master at the proper time perfected men and scholars of every denomination and making him hear from them all about religious teachings and practices. Gave him the power of mastering them. That's all. Through his wonderful memory, which retained everything heard only once. This is an absolutely redundant, unnecessary addition by the editor, not the original translator. I have read Great Master in English before, and these things were not there, definitely I tell you. So let us stop here. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so on Thursday we continue this. Om Sarvadharma Sthapakastam Sarvadharma Swarupakah Acharyānam Mahacāryo Ramakrishnāya Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanam Astu.